I'm already a millionaire in my mind. I may not see it yet, but I believe it now. In the same way a seed is called by its finished form, I'm accepting my divine inheritance as a child of God. I'm meant to have life and have it more abundantly. My treasure on earth shall correspond directly to the treasure in the heaven of my mind. Abundance is my birthright. Ashe, amen, and so it is. My name is Jullien Gordon, and I'm author of Rich and Righteous: Spiritual Secrets to Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. After becoming a multimillionaire through real estate investing, I was moved by God at the beginning of the pandemic to share my money mindset that allowed me to quit my job in January of 2009 at the bottom of the last recession and achieve full financial freedom. I own my mental real estate before I own any physical real estate. This book is like some of your favorites: Rich Dad, Poor Dad, As a Man Thinketh, Think and Grow Rich, and the Bible all in one. But the divine downloads and thoughts that are in here are 100% original and came to me over a 6-month period at the beginning of the pandemic. This book is normally $100 on Amazon if you went there right now, but I want to give you access to it for free by inviting you to our next reading group. Yes, the reading group is 100% free. Every weekday for 100 days straight, I'll be reading and discussing the 10 money commandments in the book that make money come to you in your life easily, more frequently, and abundantly. And it will take about 30 to 45 minutes as we read 3 to 5 pages per day until we finish the book and reprogram your mind around money. Why 100 days? Well, if you are 30 years old, you've lived for 10,950 days. And we have to deprogram and reprogram the negative, scarcity-based money mindset society has taught you. And I believe I can do that in just 1% of the time in about 100 days. I'm done with shelf help. You know, when you buy a book to change your life, but you never read it, it just sits on your bookshelf and collects a whole bunch of dust. We off that. When is the last time you had an author actually read their book to you out loud because they cared about you getting the information in your soul? I'm not just here to get this book in your hands. More importantly, I want to get it in your head, in your heart, because that's where the real transformation occurs, in the conscious and the subconscious mind. As scripture says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. This is not the type of book that you just read once. To renew the subconscious mind requires repetition over and over and over. So if you joined us last time, I encourage you to join us again. I myself have read this book over 10 times already. So click the link to join our next reading group, and when you sign up, I'm gonna give you the first 2 chapters of the book for absolutely free on what is money and abundance is your birthright, so that you can start your journey to a more abundant life today. Rich Rising. Welcome to another day of Read Rich and Righteous. We're reading Rich and Righteous: Spiritual Secrets, Mastering Money, Manifestation, and Your Mind. We are on page 377, and today's reading will be on receiving is a skill. Receiving is a skill. You see, as children of God, giving comes naturally to us, but a skill set that we actually have to develop is receiving, and we need to learn how to receive so that we can give more. And so that's what we're going to be covering today. We are on day 69, and there are 72 readings in this 100-day money mindset reprogram. So we literally only have 3 days left, plus our graduation on Saturday. If you haven't signed up for graduation, you can go to rrgraduation.com. Again, that's rrgraduation.com. We'll be from 8:30 to 11 a.m. on Saturday. We will be doing a reading of the conclusion. We will be doing testimonies where people are sharing their journeys and what has transpired for them, the manifestation that have occurred in their life, their transformation in terms of their relationship to money as a result of this process. And so I'm so excited about that, meeting you all in person. We've been engaged in this internet environment for so long, but it's now time to come together in community, because this is the beginning of our movement and our goal of creating the wealthiest family in the world. That's 100,000 families with $1 million net worth, which will be $100 billion. All right. Now, if you were just joining us late for whatever reason, you can go to richrightnow.com, join the challenge for absolutely free. And on the thank you page, you can get the ebook or a physical copy of the book. And when you buy either one of those, you'll get all the replays and recording that you missed. We read all of this live, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day for the past 14 weeks. And so you'll be able to catch up on that. For those of you who are in the 50s, 40s, 30s, and even lower with your consistency score, getting the digital package, the ebook, is going to be the best way to get the replays as well. Okay. So I want to jump right into it. And today we're talking about receiving is a skill. I wish I could move this up further in the book, but this is where it fit, because this is really one of the keys to success for us as the rich and righteous and those who are children of God, being default givers. We have to develop this muscle. This muscle has atrophied. We haven't worked on it because we've been so focused on giving our gifts, as we talked about yesterday. And we have to learn how to receive so that we can give more. And so we on page 377. Type I got it when you got it. Type I got it when you got it. All right. So receiving is a skill. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. That's Mark 11:24. If you are not receiving all the desires in your life, you likely have a receiving problem, not a giving problem. Luke 6:38 demonstrates this universal law of giving and receiving when it says give and you will receive. It doesn't say give and you might receive. It says give and you will receive. It's a cause and effect relationship. Your gift will return to you in full, pressed down, shaken together to make room for more, running over and poured into your lap. The amount you give will determine the amount you get back. And so we see this word room again. We saw that word, your gifts make a room for you, right? So what are we giving? We're giving our gifts. Our gifts make room for us, right? So many people are over givers. Overgivers. How many overgivers I got here? I know I've been an overgiver in so many different environments, work environments, in relationships where it wasn't balanced, and it just leads to burnout and codependency. And so and it actually disempowers the person or entity that we're giving to when we overgive. There always has to be balance. We always want to find balance. So many people are overgivers, and that is what keeps them poor financially. They believe that as they give, they shall receive. So they keep giving more and more, but they don't realize that they must also be open to receive, right? So when you give, don't just shut your hand. You give and you keep your hand open, right, to receive something back, right? But again, we don't give to receive. Receiving is not the intention of our giving, but we must keep the universal law active by being willing to receive back. And some of us just aren't willing to receive back. We've created a ton of value in the world. We bless so many other people, and we just haven't been willing to receive back. It's not that people or the God through other people don't want to give to us. It's that we haven't been willing, because we have this thing about us that we like to have a one up on other people by having given them more than we've actually received back. That gives us some sort of imbalanced hit. It gives us an imbalanced hit, right? Like it feels good to kind of be the one who gave more, right? So we have to work on that. So we're on they believe that as they give, they shall receive, so they keep giving more and more, but they don't realize that they must also be open to receive. You tithe at church, you volunteer, you help your family, you overcommit at work, or you try to be a super mom. Giving is good, but overgiving is when you give more than you are receiving. That always leads to burnout, emptiness, frustration, and resentment. It will always lead to those things because you cannot give more than you have received. Now, because we are children of God, we receive from on high. We receive manna. We receive an abundance that is beyond the material realm. And that's what actually allows us to give at such a capacity. But at some point, that can break. Even as close as our relationship is with God, right, it'll break because we're not in alignment with the universal laws that God created. God is always trying to give to you, but many givers try to store up the goodwill that they've earned by doing God's will for some heaven after earth when they die. I'm just going to give as much as I can, and I'm going to be poor here on earth because I'm going to get all my reward up in heaven. You think there's gold in heaven when heaven is a non-physical place? You think there's gold in heaven when we go back into spiritual realm? Because if heaven was physical, then we would just pack up our bodies and go there, right? But we return to spirit, and you think that there's gold up there? See, that's the imagery that they've given you. There's no physical substance in heaven, family. We are a completely different being. We return back to self. We return back to source, right? So there's no physicality. So they promised you gold and pearly this and gold that. There's nothing physical up there. And up there is not up there. Up there is right here. Kingdom of heaven is within you. Scripture says it. Jesus said it. But despite the imagery just when we operate in images, people receive that and they get programmed really, really strongly. And so we have to get very clear on what the goal is. We're here to bring heaven on earth, not to rush to go to heaven, right? So God is always trying to give to you, but many givers try to store up the goodwill that they've earned by doing God's will for some heaven after earth when they die. The scripture says, on earth as it is in heaven in Matthew 6:10. The kingdom of heaven is here and now within you. The cycle of giving and receiving is an unbreakable universal law, but you have to participate in both acts. Learning how to receive allows you to give more. That is why we have to learn how to receive, so that we can give more. Giving feels good to you. As Acts 20:35 states, it is more blessed to give than to receive. But it does not acknowledge the receiving part of the equation, which allows you to continue giving more and more and more. Though it may sound counterintuitive, the way to give more is first receive more so that you can give more. Okay, this sounds counterintuitive. The way to give more is to first receive more so that you can give more. Otherwise, we go back to the results. You end up burned out, empty, frustrated, and resentful. Okay, we don't open ourselves to receive. When we don't open ourselves to receive, we rob someone else of the great feeling we get when we give our gift. So we get so much joy from giving our gift to other people, and then when we won't receive from them, or not even them directly, just receive in any other way, we're now robbing somebody of the joy that we get from when we give by not receiving. We are disrupting the universal cycle. We think we're facilitating it by giving, but we're disrupting it when we don't participate in both acts and we don't receive in the same way that we give. Is this making sense? Okay. So perhaps it would be easier to receive if we define receiving as allowing someone else to give their gift to us rather than defining it as just us getting. That may be the blockage. When we define receiving as, oh, I'm just getting something. I don't deserve that. I don't need that, etc. Right? When we define receiving as just us getting, if we change that to say it is receiving is allowing someone else to give. Receiving is not us getting, because normally when we get, we don't keep it for ourselves. We are participating in the circulation. So let's define receiving as allowing someone else to give rather than us getting. And that might free some people up. It might break up the blockage that is there for people thinking that, Jullien, I don't need anything. I got everything I need from God, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, how about you just create a space and be a space for somebody else to give? Because you know that giving brings you joy. So guess what? Allow somebody else to get joy from giving. Is this making sense? Receiving is not a sign of weakness or lack of capability. It is an awareness of who you are, what your unique gift is, and a demonstration of focus and trust in God that you don't have to do it all on your own. Okay? A lot of us are trying to be jacks of all trades so that we don't have to ask for help, so that we don't have to receive from other people. But if you stay in your lane, you stay in your God-given gift, then you get to benefit and be on the receiving end of other people's God-given gifts. And now you're experiencing life and you're having it more abundantly because you are receiving from the best. They are getting your best and you are getting their best. You cannot be great at many things. You can literally only achieve mastery at 1, 2, or maybe 3 things. And so how about you get great at giving your gift and then outsource in a sense, everything else and actually receive from other people. For the rich and righteous, giving is our default, and we don't receive for only our own sake. We receive in order to give more. If you had more, you would give more, and that is precisely why you should have more. If you had more, you would give more, which is precisely why you should have more. Receiving is a skill that has to be developed, but we are programmed to be self-sacrificial and independent. Programs such as every man for himself, or it's me against the world, or if you want something done, do it yourself, or pick yourself up by your own bootstraps, or if it's going to be, it's up to me, or survival of the fittest, or even the terminology single mom, all teach us that receiving is unlikely. Who are we trying to impress with our self-sacrifice? See, they painted this imagery of Jesus being this sacrificial leader. And so in order to be Christ-like, we end up trying to be sacrificial. Do we have to sacrifice? Yes, but we don't sacrifice our well-being. We sacrifice our old self. That is what has to die on the cross. Our old self is what has to die. The old wineskins, the flesh, that is what has to die so that we can ascend into our spiritual self. Okay. But we trying to be Christ-like because of many people's image of Christ, right? They end up hurting themselves on this journey to ascension and this journey to having the mind of Christ. What must be sacrificed is the belief that you have to and can do it all on your own without receiving. Okay? That is what has to be sacrificed. If your well runs dry, so will your wellness and that of everyone you are pouring into. If your well runs dry, okay, and there's no more to pour out because you have not received anything after you've poured out, then not only will your well run dry, but you will be not well, okay? You will experience issues with your wellness, and everyone that you were pouring into will be empty. They will be empty, okay? Receiving an income is not just about money. It is all the good coming into your life that you allow, okay? Everybody type incoming. Good is incoming. Good is incoming. I see it. It is coming. Why? Because I put so much good out. I know good has to be coming. Good is incoming. God can only give to you according to your ability to receive. So you've heard me say this before. If you approach God with the Dixie cup, then that's all God can give to you. If you approach God with a bowl, then that is the degree to which God can give to you. If you approach God with a vat, that's the extent that God can give to you, right? If you approach God with a well, right, that is the extent to which God can give to you. God is the infinite source of supply. God can fill any receptacle. But if you only approach God with a cup, that's all that God can pour into you. Okay? God can only give to you according to your ability to receive. And God gives to you through other people. If you lose faith in people, then you lose the ability for the source to get resources to you. If you lose faith in people, then you lose the ability for the source to get resources to you. Remember, you are a resource for the source. And in the same way, other people are resources for the source. And if you lose faith in people, in their desire to also give their God-given gifts, then you lose the ability for source to get resources unto you. Okay? Money is one way that we can receive, but our ability to receive transpires in every area of our life, whether it's our ability to receive love, praise, gifts, help, feedback, etc. How many of you said, somebody said, "Oh, you're so amazing"? No, I'm not. You deflect an affirmation. Somebody's trying to pour into you and you deflect it. You coming out the grocery store, right? Or coming out the grocery store and your hands are full of bags and you're trying to open the trunk with your foot and somebody offers you help and you're like, "No, I got it." Right? We push away receiving when other people are trying to give. I remember, I was at Home Depot and I had some lumber that I was putting into my car, and my hands were full and some stuff was falling off the cart, and a guy pulled over and said, "Do you need help?" And my first inclination was no. Then I just had to say, "Jullien, just say yes, accept the help." Accept the help. And I got a chance. He actually knew me from social media, and he's in real estate. He's a contractor, got his information, and now if I need him on another job, I'll be able to reach out to him, right? And I know he'll be good. Why? Because he was helpful in a moment where he was getting nothing. He was helpful in a moment where he was getting nothing. That is the kind of contractor that I want, okay? So money is one way to receive, but our ability to receive transpires in every area of our life, whether it's our ability to receive love, praise, gifts, help, feedback, etc. For now, let's just focus on how you've been receiving money. There are 3 types of buckets: a colander, a bucket, and a watering can. Okay. Which bucket do you think will receive the most water? Okay. And we're using water as a metaphor for wealth. Do you think a colander will receive the most wealth, a bucket, or a watering can? Let's assume that they all have the same volume. They can all hold the same amount of water, okay? The colander, right? A, right? We're looking at this diagram right here. The colander, right, has holes in it. It's what you might use to strain spaghetti or something like that. The colander receives water, But no matter how much water the colander receives, it immediately, unintentionally wastes it and ends up empty. Right? Because a colander has holes in it. So do you realize? See, a lot of people think that they just need more money. But do you realize that if you poured the entire ocean into the colander, it would still end up empty? So we know that more money is not your issue. The issue is that you have leaks in your financial system. You're not broke, but your financial system is broken. You couldn't pour the entire ocean in the colander and it would still be empty. Okay. Now, moving on to B. B, the bucket only receives water and it only receives water and has no way to give. So the cycle of giving and receiving is broken. So you have a bucket, but there's no edge on the bucket that encourages it to pour out. It is just a receiving function. Okay. Now the watering can has a receiving and a giving function, right? It has a space where you pour water into, and it is designed for that water to be poured out. It holds the water it receives temporarily, right? Only to intentionally pour it onto things the gardener seeks to grow, right? The ideals, the ideas, the investments, the individuals, the institutions that I want to water and grow. This is why I have a watering can. I don't have a bucket. I'm not just receiving and putting the money in a savings account where it's doing nothing, right? I have a watering can, and the purpose of the watering can is not to hold water. It is so that I can intentionally channel the water and pour the water onto things that I want to nurture. This balance allows a cycle of giving and receiving indefinitely. So of these three, the one that gets the most wealth, because once I pour water into a bucket, and if it's not pouring any water out, then guess what? It can't receive anymore. It's full. Now we talk about, the bucket is running over, right? And we think that that is abundance. But now when you think about that, that's abundance at first, but then it becomes wasteful. So when we think about ourselves, we want to be the watering can, because God keeps pouring into the watering can so that we, being the hands of God on earth, can actually channel that energy, in this case water, but when we're talking about it, we're talking about it as well, that wealth can be channeled, that stored energy, that inert spiritual substance can be channeled towards individuals, ideals, ideas, institutions, and investments that we believe are doing good or God's work. Okay? The colander hates water. The bucket holds or hoards water, and the watering can helps water do what it was intended to do. So, do you hate money? Because when it comes in, it just goes out. You repel it with your beliefs and with your actions. Or do you hoard or hold money in a savings account like a bucket? Or are you like a watering can where you help money? You help this stored energy do what it was intended to do. Again, it's called currency because it's supposed to have a what? A current. When you think about how you relate to money right now, which bucket are you being? Now, there are 3 steps to moving from colander to bucket to watering can. If you are a colander, first, you must stop all of the leaks. The colander can ask for more money from God, but even if God pours the ocean into the colander, it will leak out. Luke 16:10-12 says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? This is precisely why some of you are in a poverty state of consciousness, because you have not demonstrated that you are great stewards of that which you have been given. So why would God channel more energy towards you, more resources towards you, if you've been wasteful in the resource that you have? Again, most people in the colander stage think that, I just need more money and that will solve my problems. But the holes are still there. The leaks are still there. Okay? And so why would God give you more when you have not been a good steward of the little that you do have? Are you appreciating all that you have already received, like the oxygen you are breathing right now, your eyes, your brain, your family, the roof over your head, the clothes in your closet, the money in your account, or the food you just ate? Many people think that once they get more money, they will automatically become a better steward, when the truth is that you must become a better steward of what you already have in order to have more money come unto you. Oh yeah, if I just got $1 million, I would know exactly how to manage it. No, you wouldn't, because you can't manage $1,000. You can't manage $10,000. So how are you going to manage $1 million in the right way? Okay. The colander doesn't have a money problem. They have a money mindset and money management problem. Some beliefs are causing the leaks, and they have to be plugged first. Okay. Now, once you stop the leaks, right, now essentially the colander is a bucket, right? It is the exact same thing. Once the leaks are stopped, you become a bucket. But we are not meant to just hold and hoard water for our satisfaction or insecurity, right? Saving money is a demonstration of financial insecurity, not financial security, beyond your emergency fund, okay? Water is meant to be used. It serves no good purpose sitting in a bucket, okay? Water serves no good purpose sitting in a bucket. Money in a bank serves no good purpose sitting in a savings account. As your bucket fills according to your belief, right? Because you can come with a Dixie cup, you can come with a bucket, you can come with a vat, right? You can come and approach God with different sizes of receptacles, right? So as your bucket fills according to your belief, you can begin to increase your bucket size, which is your receiving ability. If your cup runneth over, your cup is either too small to receive or you're not giving enough. So your cup is running over because God is giving to you, but you're not getting it out into the world. You're not putting it in use fast enough. So this is why your cup is running over. And then you see water being wasted. You see money being wasted because you're not using it fast enough. Okay. Again, this is beyond your emergency fund. Yes. Go put a bucket aside for your emergency fund for your safety and security. But after that, the resource that you have coming into you is meant to be used. So if your cup runneth over, your people just say, oh, my cup is running over. Yeah, well, you're wasting a lot of resources, okay? That is a demonstration of temporarily that I've tapped into something. Now it's time to grow. It's time to grow my receiving ability because my cup is running over. That is the indication, okay? So if your cup runneth over, your cup is either too small to receive or you're not giving enough. Water, energy, or money should not go to waste. You now have more than enough, and you are meant to give from your abundance. Remember that we are receiving to give, not just for the sake of receiving. We are increasing our capacity to do more good with what we've been given. Go bigger so that you can give bigger. Everybody type that. Go bigger so that I'm going to go bigger so that I can give bigger. I'm going to go bigger so that I can give bigger. I'm going to go bigger so that I can give bigger. The reason you may not be receiving more is because you have not used what you already have. Why would God give you more when you haven't properly used that which you already have? Okay, this is how it works. Again, if the bucket is full, then there's no room for God to give you more. Okay, so we are not the storehouse. God is the storehouse. We are the servants of God that are supposed to use what we've been given to do more good and more God on this earth. So now that your bucket is full, you can begin giving like a watering can, but we only want to give proportionally to our level of receiving. Okay. Again, I started off this chapter talking about many of us being over givers. You only want to give at the level of your receiving. So your receiving actually dictates your ability to give. Because if you give more than you've received, then we go back to burnout, emptiness, resentfulness, and frustration. So your receiving ability actually dictates and determines your giving ability. You are never meant to be empty, whether that is from being a colander or because of overgiving. It is impossible to break the universal law of giving and receiving without creating an imbalance somewhere else. Okay? So if you overgive, it may manifest physically as health issues or financially as debt. Some of you are in debt right now because you loaned somebody some money that you did not have to loan. Some of you are feeling illness in your life right now because you're overgiving in some other domain, and now it's coming back and you're bearing the cost in your physical abilities, in your health. Okay? You cannot break the balance. No matter how hard you try, the universal law of giving and receiving without creating imbalance will create an imbalance somewhere if you are not receiving at the level of your giving. Okay? So look at your health and look at your wealth to see if I'm overgiving in some place. Some of you are overgiving at your job. You're giving more than they're actually paying you, right? They're paying you $50,000 a year, but you're giving them $80,000 to $100,000 worth of work and value. You're treating it like this is your lottery ticket when you need to be giving them the energy at the level of $50,000 a year. You don't need to be staying late. You don't need to be doing things extra. So now you can take that extra energetic capacity and actually put it into your side hustle, to your purpose-based business, right? You must be giving more than you're receiving somewhere else, okay? You don't always have to receive from the same source. You rarely receive directly from the source that you're giving to. Of course, in a marriage, you want that to be reciprocal right there in that relationship. But we're looking at giving and receiving from a universal standpoint. You could be giving to the youth, but if you're giving to the youth, you have to be receiving over here, because the youth may not have capacity to give back to you. They're going to give you hugs, smiles, tell you how you changed their life. You're going to have mentees come back 10 years later and find you, etc. You're going to get that. But that may not sustain you for 10 years to do the work. So if you're giving over here to a group of people who don't have the capacity to give back, then you have to find a way to receive somewhere else. Okay? So this is how we are intricately weaved together, because now somebody else has to be giving to you, right? In a way where they might actually not be giving, receiving back from you directly, and then they have to go, right, receive from somewhere else. This is how everything is tied together. So if you are an overgiver, it may manifest physically as health issues or financially as debt. In accounting, on any general ledger, the debits must match the credits. Energy will pull from somewhere else, just like electrons. As the watering can, the cycle of giving and receiving continues. Substance is circulating to you and through you with a purpose. The substance is not yours. This money is not ours, okay? Our name is not on it, and we do not take it with us to the other realm, right? But you get to be a steward of it and use it to manifest by pouring it into and onto seeds you want to see grow that you believe will bear good fruit. While doing good in God's work, you must maintain the balance of giving and receiving, working and resting, eating and fasting, teaching and learning, leading and following, loving and being loved, paying and getting paid. This is how we create harmony. Everybody type that, HAR-money. This is how we create harmony with money. This is how we create harmony with money. All right. So a friend of mine, I was telling her that I was going to be tapping into my inner child a lot more, and that the theme for this upcoming year was going to be offline. I was going to be building community in real life, and that I would be tapping into my black boy joy, to the little Jullien. And she said, just make sure that in the spaces that you go into, that you aren't taking on any leadership, where you can just be a participant and receive, and that you don't have to be a giver. I mean, I'm known for who I am. I'm naturally a leader, but I also must balance out these spaces with places that I just get to receive. I just get to be a participant. I get to be poured into, not me doing the pouring all the time. And I thought that was very, very insightful, right? And then speaking of a watering can, there's this video that I saw on Instagram where it was actually 4 watering cans set up like this, like this, like this, and like this. And there was a water hose pouring into one. And because of the way that they were designed, when the water hose was pouring into one, it was that one would fill up and it would naturally pour into this one, and then that one would fill up and then naturally, and then they were just pouring in to each other. And I really believe that that is a demonstration of how God wants us to operate, that God is the hose. It is the source of supply, right? And when we are in this cycle of giving and receiving, we're giving and receiving our gifts, and then it comes back around to us, right? So let me see if I can get this. I hope you can see the imagery, but a watering can. So a hose was in the watering can right here, right? It was in the watering can, and it was going in, and then because it was full, water was coming out the spout, right? But that spout was pouring into another watering can, and it was filling that up, and then water was coming out of that one spout, and it was 4 of them lined up in a square. And I believe that is ultimately the vision of what we are seeking to create. We're going to seek to create that within our family first. Ultimately, I want the world to look like that, but within our family first, we want to facilitate this cycle of giving and receiving. We know that you have gifts. Some of you aren't aware of your gifts. We need to know what those are, because that's going to create the greatest volume of pour. That's where you can pour the most. And then you pour those gifts into the people who need them, and then then you will have needs, right? And there are spaces where you need to receive, and we want to create the community that actually supplies those needs. I believe that when we do this in the right way, that all of our needs can be met within the context of our community, knowing that our one source is God. We're all tapped in to that source where the hose is coming from. We all have hoses coming into us, and we are able to pour into each other. That is the ultimate goal. All right. So the rituals exercise is the give and receive exercise. And what I want you to do on page 94 is I want you to look at your top 3 relationships. I want you to examine them. Look at what you give. Like if you're in a romantic relationship, you have a spouse, what do you give and what do you receive? Do you feel like the giver? Do you feel like the receiver? Do you feel like it's balanced 50-50? Is it balanced though not 50-50? I want you to look at the top 3 relationships and see what the giving and receiving nature is. It's not always going to be 50-50, and that's okay. Okay, but I want you to be aware of what you're receiving and what you're giving in each of those top 3 relationships. So that's your homework. If you don't have the rituals workbook, you can go to richrightnow.com/store to get the rituals workbook and do the exercises that you see at the end of each chapter. All right. So with that, family, be God to yourself, right? Love yourself as God loves you. Be master over yourself as God is master over you. And remember that you are God, lowercase g, first cause in your own life, and no individual, institution, or situation outside of yourself has more power over the trajectory of your life than you. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be reading the section on, actually tomorrow we move into money commandment number 10, which is enjoy. Enjoy, how the rich and righteous enjoy money. Okay, it's not just all about work, but we get to enjoy this substance, right? We're meant to have life and have it more abundantly, and we're supposed to enjoy this experience. So we're starting off by talking about how we forgive ourselves of our debts, how we forgive ourselves of our debts. So I will see you at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Peace. What's up, y'all? It's Jullien, and it is day 1 of Generational Wealth Conference, and today is all about wealth building. We're talking about entrepreneurship. We're talking about how to avoid paying taxes, how to set up living trust, and things of that nature to make sure that you can pass on regenerational wealth to the next generation. I'm so excited about this day. We're starting in about 30 minutes, and it's going to be awesome. Stay tuned for the journey.
I'm Booker T. Washington, founder and CEO of Techie Homes in South Park Cottages.
I'm Cherian Levy. I am a real estate broker in New Orleans.
I'm here at the Generational Wealth Conference 2023.
My name is Andre C. Hackett, and I am at the Generational Wealth Conference. This thing was off the chain.
We bow our heads. Oh, yes, he did. God is great.
What's up? It's Jessica Myers. I am the deal maker. And you know what? We're at the Generational Wealth Conference 2023. And I say that because my affirmation is 2024, we're going to be at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Stadiums filled with people coming that have been hungry to change their life, hungry to make a difference and make better deals that we know they are on the cusp of.
I have took away some things that is going to change my life. It's going to change my generational wealth around me, change everything that everybody is doing as far as my family. So you can do it too. Hey, tune in to Jullien Gordon. This man is unbelievable.
So for those of you who are on the fence about coming to the Future One, let me tell you something. You are missing out on being poured into. You are missing out on growth. You are missing out on expansion. You are missing out on elevation. You must be here 2024. Get here, be with your family, and rise and enjoy and have fun and expand.